They force my hand. They're calling me a liar when I know I'm telling the truth. You know how I do this. Documentation over conversation. It leads to more speculation. But here are the facts. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Blackjack. Life is like the cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button notification as it passes, or should I say pushes, the content out to more prospective subscribers, as well as the people who are already subscribed to the channel. And do me a favor, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and tell a friend. And what I would like to say most of all is, if this is your first time viewing my channel, Straight Game TV, and you would like to be one of the first people notified, do me a favor and hit the bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I like to do. I like to do documentation over conversation. And you still have people, mainly Gullible John over at Bomb First, and Reggie the Rat Wright Jr., still pushing this issue and trying to discredit me as far as my contribution and the One Day at a Time M's version, and the original song being mine, Just Cruising, that me and Grandmaster Melly Mel did from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 before 2Pac even rapped on my song, which was my track from that perspective. It was, like I said before, it was me and myself and Grandmaster Melly Mel from Grandmaster Furious 5. It was, we were both on the song at first. I had a record deal, like I said, in December of '96. That kind of fell through. They didn't have the money that they said they, or should I say they needed to have in order to sign me. So the deal fell through. But so just recently, I made a suggestion, and I suggested that Gullible John, you know, if they wanted to, the truth of the matter, they could have my brother Hen G come on and basically, you know, read to them, you know, the paperwork and from that perspective of what it was and what it wasn't. You know what I mean? And so what they attempted to do was they brung Hen G on. They took the suggestion, and I hope that they compensated the brother. Like I say, Hen G's a good brother. I have nothing against him. But once again, I have to be honest that Hen G is not being honest. And I brung the documentation for you today to show you that beyond any shadow of a doubt, before 2Pac even recorded or even knew that my track or the song existed, the track existed, that the song was already copywritten. It was copywritten approximately, I would say 6 months before 2Pac even ever heard it. And I'm going to show you today. So right here, what you see is, here is the paperwork. This is what, four paragraphs of from the actual document that we signed. I redacted the percentages and everything so that you could see what it actually was. Like I said, once again, Hen G had basically took the track. He did get 2Pac to record on there. He gets credit for that. But like I said, we were all in the studio together when the track was done, as well as many other tracks when they were done also. My partner Jeeve, myself, Hen G. And so this particular track, right, like I said, Just Cruising, right? So when the situation went down, we came to an agreement, and we basically settled it. You know what I mean? Like men, you know. And here is the actual his actual paragraphs from the agreement, but I redacted out the percentages. And here you see that we In fact, and let me read this to you, because I want you to really understand where I'm coming from when I say this, and not that I'm just saying something crazy. He doesn't. He didn't offer any kind of proof. And it says, whereas Hen G and his music publishing company, Brother Street Music, ASCAP, was granted a blank blank percentage interest in the songwriter and music publishing royalty to the composition as a result of its previous agreement with Amaru, and whereas the composition was subsequently embodied in the film 2Pac Resurrection, the film, and on its accompanying soundtrack album released by Amaru Interscope as catalog number 15330, the soundtrack, and whereas Jeeve and Delray have disputed the full ownership of Hen G's and Brother Street's percentage ownership in the composition, Hen G and Jeeve/Delray hereby agreed to resolve their disputes as follows. New ownership splits. By signing this agreement and the attached letter of direction as Schedule A, Hen G hereby agrees that Delray and Jeeve are collectively entitled to a and or percentage interest based on 100% in the composition and all income derived therefrom. Hen G's interest in the composition will therefore be reduced from blank 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 to a similar blank and percentage. For clarification purposes, the splits relevant to this blank 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 percentage portion of the composition will now be, and as you can see, those would be the new percentages, but I'm not going to show you all of that, but just to let you know what that is. And here's the copy of our signatures right here. This is our signatures in back of the agreement, just to let you know the facts behind that, right? Also, in September of 1996, I was in this music magazine called The Music Connection, right? And it was a West Coast trade music magazine. It covered everything, new artists, established artists. It was like kind of like the Bible, you know what I mean? And for the West Coast, Music Connection was a really nice magazine. And if you wanted to get your stuff out, they had this thing called demo critiques, right? As you can see right here, this issue right here was 9/2, right? So that's September 2nd, 1996 to September 15th, 1996. But the crazy part about it is before they put your stuff in the magazine, you had to send it approximately, I would say, 2 to 3 to 4 weeks earlier, if you will. Sometimes a month, 2 months. It all depends because they got so much stuff. And so in this particular article, they featured me in it. And I'm going to read to you what they said, right? See, my man Carlito was one of the guys that was with us the night we went to the House of Blues, and we went in, me, myself, Carlito. His real name was Carlos Flores. Me, Carlito, Melly Mel, and Scorpio from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. But read this. Listen to this. This is September. Remember, I showed you that the song was copywritten. So I'm shopping my demo, doing the whole 9 yards, putting in work, right? And it says, comments, smooth, seductive grooves with a velvety vocal approach is what makes this Lakewood, California resident ready for label attention. Guest rapper Grandmaster Melly Mel shows that Richardson knows the right people, but more importantly, it sounds like more of the right people will soon know him. This is in September. This is the same month that 2Pac died. I told you guys in the last video that in December of 1996 that I got the record deal from the company that didn't come through with the money. Here is a copy of that actual letter that they sent me telling me that they were interested in my music. And the song that got their attention was the song Just Cruising with Melly Mel on it, as well as a few other songs that we had did. You understand what I'm saying? So when Hen G went on bomb first, and actually said that it wasn't anybody else's song prior to 2Pac rapping on it, that was an outright lie. See, the disappointing part is this. It doesn't hurt to tell the truth. Like I said, Hen G was responsible for taking what was my track to my song, me and Melly Mel, up to Ice-T's studio. That's true. He did that. Right? I'm not taking no credit away from for that. But once again, like I told you, it was my song before it was 2Pac's song. And I had a Grammy Award winning Rock and Roll Hall of Fame legend in Grandmaster Melly Mel on the track with me. And it was called Just Cruising. This is a fact. So when I tell you that we all did this together, right? From that perspective, it's a fact. I don't have to lie. Like I said, once again, the song was copywritten on 3/14/1996. That was the day I signed the copyright paper. Right? That's how we were able to do that agreement. And the splits got changed. We basically challenged his whole percentage because we knew what time it was. So now, if Hen G is saying that, oh, me and Jeeve did the track, right? Then why did he go and claim all of it? And we had to then come and get him to sign an agreement giving us our share. What did he do? What he wasn't supposed to do. He claimed it as all his. You see, that's what happened. Once again, let's keep it 100. So from that perspective, once again, being disingenuous about these facts and misleading about these facts does not make one look good. It in turn makes one look bad, if you will, or dishonest, if you will. And like I said, I have nothing but love for Hen G. But once again, the truth runs marathons. Lies run sprints. And that's all I'm saying. This is what it was because it was what it was. You see the magazine, the people in the magazine not lying, right? This was September 1996. You heard what they said, velvety vocal approach. Seems like Richardson knows the right people in Grandmaster Melly Mel because Melly Mel was on the song. These are facts. So like I said, the failed attempt at trying to discredit me only makes Gullible John as well as Reggie the Rat Wright Jr. And they're dragging my brother Hen G into this. Like I said, for this little short spurt, 15 minutes of fame. Let me tell you something, Hen. They don't care about you. All they care about is using you to bolster their channel and to bolster the content that they have. So I hope that they paid you. Like I said, once again, I always want to see you get ahead. You know what I mean? That's who I am. But at the end of the day, we must be honest about the contribution and the people who were there for us when we didn't have versus now that we do have. And I've always tried to keep it 100. So like I said, documentation over conversation. Like I said, and they also, and I told you guys this, they also came with some this exhibit thing, basically as a part of Hen G's side of it, basically. And I signed it. I'll tell you, I signed it. I didn't really care about that. The part that I cared about was what I showed you, that them splits would be changed up and we would get our percentage. They came with a note basically saying that, oh, Jeeve and Hen G did the track and I had nothing to do with it. I signed off on that. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? As long as I was going to get my splits, I really didn't care about that. And the sad part, what was so disingenuous about that exhibit part was the fact that Hen G had went and claimed it all himself. So why would there be some kind of Monday morning quarterbacking move in regards to now saying, and him and Jeeve and myself signing off on it, saying that, oh, just me and Jeeve did it. Why didn't he just give Jeeve his percentage to begin with? instead of just going claiming the whole thing for himself. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the crazy part. And so to now not want to admit the truth, that's on him. I don't really care about that. Like I say, at the end of the day, but one will not lie and say that I'm a liar and try to insult my integrity. You know what I mean? And my honesty. And you know, as Hen knows me, he knows that I've always been a stand-up guy. I ain't never been about no backbiting, no stealing, no none of that. You know what I mean? And so from that perspective, like I said, these are the facts. Your boy Delray, straight game.